Roman Empire at its greatest extent in around 98 AD or CE. And at the bottom here is a map of the European neighbourhood policy. Starting next year, revived Roman Empire, feet of iron and clay, the old Roman Empire mixed with new nations. Here is Mr. Solana on the day that the UN decided to accept his plea for EU troops to go into the Middle East. Notice the numbers behind them. It is actually, it says 666, but where the map of the world is, there is a 0. It's celebrating 60 years of the UN. But it's interesting that they've made it into 666, right behind Mr. Solana's head. It's very interesting. And remember, as I said, the Antichrist will be involved with the military in the Middle East. Right, hold on just a second. Various groups are seeking world government at the moment. Under the Antichrist. This is one such statement from a man who, from Congressman Larry McDonald. He said the drive of the Rockefellers and their allies is to create a one-world government combining super-capitalism and communism under the same tent, all under their control. Do I mean conspiracy? Yes, I do. I am convinced there is such a plot, international in scope, generations old in planning, and incredibly evil in intent. Now, that's not a Christian saying that. That's a congressman saying there is a plan for world government by the Rockefellers. And on the Rockefeller site, we found this. If we have a look at the top, it says that there will be, where are we, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, or 5 lines down, it says, the people of the 10 regional states of Earth will do so and so and so and so. This is the proclamation for the Federation of Global Nation Earth. They're pushing for a world government with 10 areas in that government around the world. And if we can look at the bottom one, right at the bottom, this is the oath or the affirmation that you must make. Every regional senator, every member of the House of Representatives and senator in each regional government of that 10 shall, before taking his or her seat, make and subscribe before the Federation General or some person authorized by him or her an oath or affirmation of allegiance to this Constitution and to the Supreme State Sovereign, who is the protector and gracious ruler of the people of the Federation. How close are you? How much more convincing do we need? How much more convincing do you need to see where we are? I believe that somewhere on this planet today, the Antichrist is calmly awaiting his cue to step onto the world's planet. He's there. He's waiting. I showed Maria that last evening, and she said, she put her hand over her mouth and she said, "It looks like Superman." And I said, actually, yes, he will be a Superman. They'll think he's amazing. The world is racing towards judgment, towards a collision with God himself. You know, the Bible says that when Jesus returns, there is going to be an earthquake in Israel. He is going to conquer these attacking nations under Antichrist. Antichrist will be captured alive and thrown into the lake of fire with his false religious partner, known as the false prophet. They will be thrown into the lake of fire. Now, just 2 years ago, there was a huge earthquake in Israel. And they're now saying, the experts are saying, not Christians, they're saying the big one is coming. There's a big earthquake coming to the Middle East. Well, the Bible says that when Jesus returns, there will be a huge earthquake that will split the Mount of Olives. They've now discovered there is a geological fault up the center of the Mount of Olives. And should there be an earthquake, the Mount of Olives will split in exactly the direction the Bible says it would. Amazing. To the north and to the south, with a valley in between. Here is what it will look like. Jerusalem will be risen up by this earthquake, and there will be water, pure water, flowing out into the Mediterranean and down into the Dead Sea, bringing life to the Dead Sea. Do you know they've discovered there are billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of pure water, gallons of pure water beneath Israel, beneath Jerusalem? They just don't know how to get it released. It's just waiting for the Messiah to come. You know, we could go over and tell them. If you want. Jesus is going to land on the Mount of Olives. He will go down through the Kidron Valley, up here through this gate that has been closed for centuries, and onto the Temple Mount, where he will cleanse the temple and set up his kingdom. This is how close you are. Am I saying Javier Solana is the Antichrist? No, I'm not. Not at all. But what he could be doing is laying the groundwork for the Antichrist. I think he is... sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Bob, as well, there people know that that's a Muslim graveyard, and they're actually buried with their swords in their hand to actually stop the Messiah coming through that gate.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that will bother the Messiah, do you? Not a bit. They'll just go straight through. So he'll go onto the Temple Mount, he'll cleanse the temple, and Jesus will set up his kingdom on earth. Let me just run through these notes again. Israel must be back in the land. You've seen it. They're back there. Jerusalem must be in Jewish hands. It is. They're planning to rebuild a temple. Yes, they are. The Roman Empire must revive itself. Now, notice these are all scriptures. Isaiah and the prophets said Israel must be back in the land. Jerusalem must be in Jewish hands. Jesus said that. The plans to rebuild a temple. 2 Thessalonians says that the Antichrist will sit in the temple. So they have to build the temple for him to sit in it. The Roman Empire must revive, said Daniel. It's associated with a woman on a beast, says Revelation 17. There will be 10 nations within revived Rome, again Daniel. Antichrist will arise from within the 10. Well, there is this position that has risen up. This position that Javier Solana has taken over only came after the 10 were formed, not before. It's unique. The position he holds is unique for all the offices that he has under his belt. It is unique. And it only happened after the 10 were formed. He must conquer 3 of the 10. That hasn't happened with Solana. It could well be that a man will follow him who has to force his way into the position and take over 3 or win 3 by some 3 of the 10 by some means. We don't know. He must make a covenant, he must make a covenant with Israel and her enemies for 7 years. We see that there is a kind of covenant that runs for 7 years already being set up. Is it this covenant? I'm not sure. Again, I think the ancients worked on 360 days per year. Therefore, while this could be the covenant that he rubber stamps, that 7 years will be 7 years of 360 days per year, which is a month short of our years, which again could fall in with what Jesus said, unless those days were shortened. I don't know. I don't know. He must be involved with the military. Yes, the leader of the 10 nations is involved with the military because the Western European Union is the military wing of the EU. And he will desecrate the temple. Well, that hasn't happened because the temple hasn't been built yet. So that's how close you are to seeing all of these things fulfilled. We are now heading for judgment. The nations are heading for a collision course with God. And I just wonder, what do you think about all of this? And especially people watching on the tape, what do you think about all of this? Could this all really be coincidence? That all of these 12 items and more, I could have put more on there, but time just doesn't allow. Could all of these things just be pure coincidence? Could you gamble? Could you really gamble that what has happened already is true, but the rest won't happen? You can't. You can't. You know, if you are not a Christian, and I want to say to you, the vicar said you've got a real problem if you believe the Bible. I want to say to you, if you are not a Christian, you have a real problem, because you are in real danger. The Bible says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That includes me, that includes all of you sitting here, everybody watching on the video or on the internet. It includes you. We've all sinned. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. How can we ever get ourselves right with God? Romans says the wages of sin is what? Death. But the gift of God